Everyone, my name is Crystal and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is Friday and it's a lot cooler. Well, it looks a lot cooler outside, so I think the temperature is a bit lower than it has been, which is good. So Alexa, good morning. Alexa, good morning.
Good morning. Today marks the birthday of the classic movie Spartacus, which debuted on this day in 1960. No, I'm Spartacus.
Alexa, what's the time, please?
It's 8:26 a.m.
Alexa, what's the date today?
It's Friday the 6th of October.
Alexa, what's the weather like in Rochester?
In Rochester, England, it's 15 degrees Celsius with mostly cloudy skies. Today, you can expect clouds with a chance of showers, with a high of 21 degrees and a low of 12 degrees.
Alexa, can you tell me a joke?
Knock knock. Who's there? Cash. Cash who? I prefer peanuts actually.
Alexa, whose birthday is it today?
Today's famous birthdays include actress Elizabeth Shue, American video game designer, director, and producer Todd Howard, American YouTube personality, spokesmodel, television personality, and LGBT rights activist Jazz Jennings, American actress Olivia Thirlby, and Addison Rae.
Right guys, so I went out last night. I took Max out. There was nobody on that field. I had my flashlight torch and I turned it off just to walk around where the riverside was lit up with the Scott Line boat, and I fell down a ditch, tiny, so I felt a bit like my pride was a bit well, no one could see because it was dark, so I was walking along and I just went down a hole. Tiny hole, not a big hole, but I fell down a hole. So that pissed me off. But apart from that, nothing remarkable. I came off the field, came into the flat, and I just made myself a lovely cup of coffee. I sat down, I watched Auditing Yorkshire videos, I watched a video from the Gwent Auditor. And I particularly like bus stations. It's nice to see different bus stations. I like bus stations. I like buses. So I like to see the different coloured buses, the different make of buses, because I'm quite interested in buses. I saw a nice bus yesterday on the way to Strood. So I like buses, yeah, bus vehicles. The Chatham bus station looks like Star Trek. The round roofs of the bus station, it looks like it's come out of Star Trek. It's quite funny, because we had an old bus station in Chatham, and I remember that in 1980, 85 and 86, because I used to go to a place called Wigmore. Alexa, where is Wigmore?
Wigmore is a town in the western part of England. It is located 42.1 miles west of Birmingham, England.
So I worked at Wigmore Garage, so I had to get a bus. And I used to go to work on my youth training scheme when I just started a job. I was on a youth training scheme, and they put you on £17 a week. So it was doing a full-time job really for ship pay, basically a YTS scheme. And I said I wanted to do office work, so they put me in Hopewell Drive, Chatham, for GEC Avionics, the airline company. But like for work experience, they sent me to Wigmore Garage to work in a garage. to work in the back, like learning how to do the books, you know, the finances. So basically, I just sat in the back room while the girl dealt with the cars and the petrol. I just sat in the back room. So I had to take this is about buses anyway, so I had to take a bus to Wigmore Garage, which is near Gillingham in Medway. So this one day I got on the bus and I had an old bus pass in my handbag, an old bus pass, and I'd bought a ticket, and in those days the bus tickets were like little square pieces of yellow paper, really tiny bit of paper. Now I was, apart from one other person, I was the only one on that bus. And I sat down and I must have dropped my bus ticket, or just, because you hardly saw bus inspectors, to be fair, back then. You hardly saw them. And I just got on this bus early morning to go to work, and I must have mislaid my yellow bus ticket. And the bus inspector comes on. Bus inspector. Now they're not allowed to do this. I was a teenager. I was about 16, and they're not allowed to search your bags without permission, right? Or without, because they're not police officers. Bus inspectors, are they? They're not police officers. And I was a teenager, and of course people in authority, when you're a kid, you look up to them, right? So this bus inspector comes on and he goes, "Tickets please." And I think, oh shit, I've put my ticket somewhere. Where have I put it? I can't find it. I was anxious, probably flustered. And I went, oh, I've mislaid my ticket. I said, there's two of us on the bus. The driver must have known that I've got on the bus, because there's only two people. He went up to the bus driver. The bus driver said he couldn't remember. He couldn't remember if I'd got on the bus or not. So the ticket inspector became angry and obnoxious, and he went down my handbag. He pulled my handbag off the seat. He went down it. He went, "There is a bus ticket in that bag, and you have used that bus ticket to get on this bus." Because back in the day, they didn't have CCTV cameras, did they, on buses? Back in 1985, I don't think they had CCTV on buses. If they'd have cashed up after that driver had done his driving for the day, they would have known that they had my money, because I did pay for my ticket. I was very upset. I was very frightened. I was on that bus with nobody, and I was actually abused, physically abused on that bus. And he pulled open my bag and he pulled out an old bus pass, and he accused me of getting on with that. And I said I didn't do that. I said I didn't do that. I did not do that. And I remember being very, very upset. I had to go to work after that, and I was very, very upset. When I got home in the evening, I actually started crying the way I was abused on that bus by this bloke, shouting at me and opening my personal belongings. A couple of weeks later, a letter came through telling me off for getting on the bus with a bus pass. And I hadn't got on the bus with an out-of-date bus pass at all. So they lied, and they accused me of something I hadn't done. So it does seem to have started with the buses for some reason. Another form of abuse is like searching your belongings without permission. That's going down my handbag, looking at my belongings, my personal belongings, and it violated me, and I was very, very upset. Very upset. I remember crying and really upset for about 2 weeks, thinking how a man had violated my privacy by going down my private handbag. So nowadays there's CCTV footage, and they can't do that. They can't do that because they can get caught. These bus inspectors and whatnot, they can get caught. If you get on there's cameras on buses now. There's CCTV footage. They can't do that. But back in the day, they was getting away with a lot of things to a lot of people because there was no evidence, no cameras. They could accuse you of anything and somebody would believe them. However, I have been mistreated since, but not by bus drivers, because I hardly use the bus service. I've written in my diary where once a bus driver he went, "I want to see your ticket," and then he threw it back at me. That's been down in Medway again, Medway. The bus drivers in Gloucestershire used to shout at me, "Hurry up and get on the bus," and all that kind of thing. But now I stick up for myself. I won't tolerate it. But if somebody sees that you're soft, they pick on teenagers, they pick on kids, they pick on people with a different race. They do it. I've seen it. Anyone vulnerable, and they might have a bad day and they think, right, I'm going to take it out on this person. And they shouldn't be allowed to do that. So I have had a few incidences where people have gone, "Show me a ticket," and then they've gone, "Ugh." Older male bus drivers. And I've had trouble with people, passengers on the bus. I told you in Gloucestershire what happened to me on the buses. I don't know what's going on there, why people think they've got the right to treat me like a piece of shit. But now I stand up for myself. I won't tolerate rudeness. I'm an adult now. I mean, when I was a kid, you shouldn't speak to anybody like that anyway. But I will not tolerate it now from anybody. I will stand up for myself and say, "Why are you treating me like that?" So that's another incident on the buses. I can't drive, so I have to use public transport. I can't drive because my mother and father were poor when I was younger, poor, but my father always had a car. He always drove. He always had a car. He always got a car for himself, but he never taught me how to drive. And he would keep money for himself. He would buy cigarettes, he would buy strong alcohol, he'd buy himself a car, but he would not buy me anything. He wouldn't buy me anything at all. So I had girls say to me, "Oh, Dad bought me a car for my 18th birthday." When I was working at GEC Avionics, I had a girl the same age as me say, "Oh, do you know what my dad bought me for my 18th birthday? He bought me a car. My parents bought me a car." Well, I was lucky if my dad bought me food to eat, to be honest. So I grew up in poverty. I grew up with a father who was an alcoholic and a cigarette smoker, and he spent all the money on cigarettes and alcohol, and he didn't look after his kids properly. So I grew up from a poor background, so I was never taught how to drive. When I got my first job, I met a man that was just like my father, and he started taking control of the money, and he had a driving license, but he couldn't drive a car. And then he went and had refresher driving license courses. This is the way I've got treated all the way throughout my life, so I've never actually learnt to drive. And now, I'm getting older and my eyesight's getting worse. It is. I've got to go to the opticians. It's just too late, in my opinion. And people say, "Oh, it's never too late, it's never too late." probably it isn't, but I just feel like, you know, these men that have done these horrific things to me, how can you stop it affecting your life? How can you move on? Oh, you're on your own now. I go outside, I'm still being victimised and bullied everywhere I go, everything I do. And it's not in my head. I show it on camera. It's not in my head. I'll go into a shop and I get treated like dog shit. Like I'm an outcast, like I'm being sent to Coventry. I walked into a shop and from start to finish, a woman did not speak one more word to me. She didn't say, "Good morning, can I help you?" She just looked at me as if I was a pile of shit and didn't speak a word to me. And then her mate comes along and she's talking to them for 15 minutes. And shop assistants should not be biased. Shop assistants should not be biased. They shouldn't be judgmental or racist. Or they shouldn't say, "Oh, I don't like that person coming into the shop. I'm going to treat them like shit." You can't do that. You can actually get a shop assistant the sack if you can prove that they are victimising you for some reason. You cannot do that in a shop. That's why I feel I'm living in a soap opera. I feel like I'm living in a soap opera or some kind of strange film set. Because things happen to me, like things that had happened on TV, you know. Someone goes into a shop, you know the things that happen on EastEnders and Coronation Street, like all that. It just seems like that when I go out my front door. I walked into the charity shop yesterday. I mean, nothing is ever allowed to be normal, is it? I just want to walk into a shop, get my bloody shopping or clothing and walk out. It's never like that. There's some drama. Every time I go out somewhere, there's some drama. I mean, dogs aren't allowed in shops. They're not. Yeah, I've gone into a charity shop and there's been dogs in there. I've gone into a shop. People have taken their scooters in there, their bicycles. And nobody tells them off or to stop doing it. But then I watch these auditing videos and they're telling big stocky guys to fuck off. They're telling big blokes to fuck off. They're stealing their cameras. They're flooring them to the ground. Yet, round in Chatham, I'm not being funny, but I've seen people break the law in front of my face and the shop assistants just stood there. But these guys can tell these auditors to fuck off and get out and don't do this. Well, why don't people tell people not to take scooters into shops and dogs? Instead of just sitting there and stroking them, nice doggy, all the germs on their hands when they then go and touch the food and give it to somebody. When they've stroked a dog in a shop, don't they realise what they're doing? Just have a sip of my coffee. I mean, in these flats, there's supposed to be mice. There's supposed to be a rodent problem. So for approximately nearly 2 months now, we've had rodenticide in the building, which is rat poison in little boxes. No one's told any residents why they're there, what the problem is. We've just got rodenticide in the building. It's poison. There's kids in this building. There's pets. No letter, no word from the landlord what's going on, and that flat is empty next door. Someone's going to obviously move in. So you know, you've got rat poison in the building. I mean, I don't know what's going on anymore. Aren't you supposed to tell people there's rat poison in the building? I know because it's happened before. But, you know, what do you do? What do you do when the world doesn't care? It doesn't care. It just doesn't care. It doesn't make sense. And, you know, everyone that comes to visit me says there's no police in Chatham and Rochester. The police don't do anything. They're like Mickey Mouse in uniform. I've seen the co-op looted, and they send PCSOs out, and they just turn around and say, don't do it again. They just take the alcohol or whatever they've stolen, put it back in the shop, and they let them off. I mean, I dread to think what's going to happen in the future, because if the prices go up and up and up and up, people will start looting, and there is no police to stop it. There isn't. Not down in Medway. You don't see anyone. That one that came out to me started laughing, and he started laughing. He didn't actually deal with the problem. He started laughing, and then he said, "Oh, you're on a dating site. Good luck with that." I was more interested in my dating site than dealing with the crime that had been committed. It's ridiculous. They are like soap opera stars, the police. They come out and, excuse me, madam, what do you want us to do? I want you to sort the perpetrator out. That's what I want you to do. What do I want them to do? 3 or 4 times they got called out to Victoria Road. What do you want us to do? It's too late now, isn't it? Right, guys, have a lovely Friday, and I'll see you all later.